All right, so I'm going to explain how to use texture mapping with Rhino and V-Ray. Just make sure you have V-Ray turned on and you have your asset editor open. I'm going to just make a simple box. And under my materials, under my asset editor, first I'm just going to go into my settings and just reset everything, revert everything. And under my materials, make sure everything's downloaded. And I'm just going to apply, just go to the bricks. I'm just going to apply just this very top brick, or any one of them. You can select any one of the bricks. It doesn't matter. Apply to selection. I can see it in my material palette now. And if I go over here to right-click on the word perspective, and if I go to rendered view, I should be able to see that brick pattern on here. It's not the best brick pattern, like at least the way it's placed, and that's okay. That's what we're going to fix. The best way to do this, the way I'm going to show you, just make sure you have gumball turned on, and make sure you have that object selected. And once you have it selected, if you go over here to your properties, and if your properties is not here, just click on the properties button over here. I'm going to expand this a bit. Click on properties, make sure you have your object selected, and the icon that we're looking for is this one right here, the one that says texture mapping. It's like a part of a cylinder with orange and white checkers. All right, so the first time you fix the texture, and the texture is essentially the image that's on here. So in this case, it's the image of the brick. The very first thing you do is you need to reset the way that's being textured. And the way to do that is by clicking one of these checkered options. There's the plane, there's a surface, there's the box, cylinder, sphere. The one that you use 99% of the time is the one that says apply box mapping. So I'm going to click on that. And one thing just to pay attention to is it's going to, every time you click on it in your command line, it's going to give you 3 questions. You can just use the defaults. So just hit enter 3 times. Hit enter once. Hit enter once, and then it'll ask you a different question. Just hit enter, and it'll ask you a 3rd question, and just hit enter. And that's it. So you can automatically see that the texture pattern on here is now fixed and updated. All right, so if I were to go to render this, I can get the updated version. But just say, for example, I have my brick pattern on here, but the brick pattern is too large or too small, so I want to adjust it. So the way to adjust it is, again, make sure you have your object selected, this box selected. After you do the applied box mapping and hit enter 3 times, then you select this icon that says show mapping. So I click on show mapping, and I can see that my box looks slightly different. The perimeter of this box are now these dashed lines. So say, for example, if I were to use on my gumball the scale icon, and I had to move this around, I can see the pattern now start to change. Not the size of the box is not changing, it's just the pattern, it's just the image that's on there. As I'm moving the scale icon around, I'm going to hold down shift, so it's proportional, so I'm changing all 3 sides at the same time. And I can make this brick pattern smaller, for example. I can render it just to see what it looks like. And there I can see I have a smaller brick pattern. Or I can come back here and again, I can adjust it, make it a much larger brick pattern. I can render it. And I can see how my texture is now being updated and adjusted. If I wanted to, obviously I can also just rotate it for whatever reason. I can rotate it, I can move it, I can scale it, everything else that I can do with the regular gumball command. Once you have the correct texture, size, and location that you want, you could either hit the escape key or you can click hide mapping. And now when you select the object, it's just like a regular Rhino object. Right, and render it one more time. Right, and you could always go back to it once you adjust it once. You could always select the object. You don't have to go back to apply the box mapping. You only have to do that once. And I could always go back and show mapping. And I could always adjust it after the fact. Either hit escape or do hide mapping. And I can see what the material looks like. And I would recommend that you try this for any material that has a texture to it, like so any of the bricks, any of the concrete patterns, any of the ground patterns where you have like grass and rocks. You have tiles that now have texture mapping that you can now start to adjust. The wood and laminate, you can start to adjust those as well. So now that you know how to adjust these texture mappings, the list of materials now opens up for you.